I stared at my phone screen, reading the message for the third time. We've agreed you're no longer part of the family. Don't come to any gatherings. My mother's words glowed in the darkness of my apartment. Below her text, I saw it. Amanda liked this message. My own sister. 5 years of paying their bills, their mortgage, their car payments. My fingers moved across the keyboard. Thanks for confirming. I'll cancel all the auto payments. I hit send at exactly midnight. By 12:08 a.m., the panic messages started flooding in. I sat there in the dim light of my living room, phone buzzing like an angry hornet in my hand, but I did not look at it. Not yet. Instead, I opened my laptop and navigated to my bank's website. The blue glow illuminated my face as I logged into my account, and I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger, not even hurt anymore. Just a crystalline clarity I had never experienced before. The list of automatic payments stretched down my screen. 5 years of them. Every single month, like clockwork, money flowing from my account to keep my family afloat. I started clicking through them one by one, my cursor hovering over each cancellation button. First, Mom's mortgage, $1,800 every month. Cancel. Her car payment, $450. Cancel. Utilities for her house, roughly $300 monthly. Cancel. Amanda's car insurance, $200. Cancel. Amanda's credit card payment, between $500 and $800, depending on her spending that month. Cancel. Mom's supplemental medical insurance, $180. Cancel. I did the math in my head as I worked. Approximately $3,500 to $4,000 every single month, 12 months a year, 5 years. Over $200,000 of my money, my labor, my sacrifice, gone, given freely because I thought that was what you did for family. My phone would not stop buzzing. I glanced at it finally. 17 text messages, 9 missed calls, all in the span of maybe 20 minutes. Mom, David, what are you doing? The mortgage payment just got declined. Mom, call me right now. Mom, this is not funny. I just got an email from the bank. Amanda, you can't do this. Mom needs that money. Amanda, stop being a child. Call Mom back. Amanda, you're such a selfish piece of garbage. I set the phone face down on the coffee table and continued canceling payments. Each click felt like cutting a rope that had been strangling me. I had not realized how heavy those obligations were until I started severing them. When I finished, I leaned back on my couch and closed my eyes. My phone rang. I did not answer. It rang again and again. On the fourth call, I picked it up and saw Mom's name. I let it go to voicemail. 30 seconds later, the notification appeared. I played it. My mother's voice, thick with tears. David, please, you can't do this. This is financial abuse. You're going to make me lose my house. After everything I've done for you, after I raised you, this is how you repay me? Call me back. We need to talk about this. Financial abuse? The words hit me like a slap. I was financially abusing her by stopping the payments I had voluntarily made for 5 years? The payments she had just thanked me for by disowning me via text message? My phone rang again. Amanda this time. Against my better judgment, I answered and immediately put it on speaker, setting it on the table. I opened a voice recording app on my laptop. What the hell is wrong with you? Amanda's voice screeched through the speaker. You sent me a message saying I'm not part of the family, I said calmly. So I'm acting accordingly. You can't just stop paying Mom's bills. She'll lose everything. Then maybe you should pay them, Amanda. Your family, right? I don't have that kind of money. You know I don't. Neither do I, apparently. Since I'm not family, I figured I should stop spending my money on people who don't want me around. This is ridiculous. Mom didn't mean it like that. She wrote it in a text message. You liked the message. Seemed pretty clear to me. Amanda's voice changed, became almost pleading. David, come on. We can talk about this. But you can't just cut Mom off like this. We needed you gone before you tried to take the house. I froze. What did you just say? Silence on the other end. Then, nothing. I didn't say anything. You said we needed you gone before I tried to take the house. Amanda, I've never wanted Mom's house. I was helping her keep it. That's not. You're twisting my words. I'm recording this call. Amanda. Do you want me to play it back? She hung up. I sat there, staring at my phone, and suddenly understood. They thought because I paid the mortgage, I had some kind of claim to the property. They thought I was positioning myself to take the house away from Mom. The realization made my stomach turn. I had never wanted the house. I lived in my own apartment across town. I had a good job as an IT project manager, made decent money, and had been using that money to help my mother after Dad died 8 years ago. She had been struggling. The house payment was too high for her fixed income. Amanda had never offered to help, always claimed she was broke, despite her new car and frequent shopping trips. So I stepped in. Because that was what you did. You helped your family. Except now, I was not family anymore. I took screenshots of every message. The disownment text, Amanda liking it. The flood of panic messages after I canceled the payments. Amanda's threatening calls. I saved the recording of our conversation where she accidentally revealed their real concern about the house. My phone kept buzzing throughout the night, but I silenced it and went to bed. I had work in the morning. Life continued, even when your family decided you were disposable. Morning came too early. My alarm dragged me out of uneasy sleep at 6:30, and I moved through my routine on autopilot. Shower, coffee, dress for work. Normal things. Ordinary things. As if the foundation of my life had not cracked open the night before. I drove to the office through Tuesday morning traffic, my mind replaying that text message over and over. At my desk, I tried to focus on my current project, a system migration for one of our major clients. My team depended on me. I could not let my personal disaster bleed into my professional life. But at 9:15, my email pinged. My mother's bank. Subject line, overdraft notice. I opened it. Multiple insufficient funds fees. The mortgage payment had tried to process twice after I canceled it, each attempt triggering a $35 penalty. Utility payments bounced. More fees. My mother's account was hemorrhaging money she did not have. Part of me felt guilty. Most of me felt numb. My desk phone rang during my lunch break. I glanced at the caller ID. Aunt Carol. My mother's younger sister. I picked up. David? Sweetie, what's going on? Your mother called me this morning absolutely hysterical. I took a breath and explained. Calmly. Methodically. I sent Aunt Carol screenshots of the messages while we talked. The silence on the other end stretched long. Then, oh, David. Oh, no. I had no idea she. And Amanda liked it? Yes. Honey, I'm so sorry. That's just cruel. After everything you've done, can you talk to her? I don't know what's happening, but something's wrong. I'll drive over there today. I promise. We said goodbye, and I tried to return to work. But my phone buzzed with a text from my cousin Jake, Aunt Carol's son. We had been close growing up, more like brothers than cousins. Jake. Dude, what's happening with your mom and Amanda? Mom just called me freaking out. Me. Long story. Amanda convinced Mom to disown me via text. Jake. What? Why? Me. No idea. Still trying to figure it out. Jake. That's insane. Hey, random question. Amanda's boyfriend Brandon has been asking me about your mom's house. Wanted to know what it's worth, what the neighborhood's like. Said he was in real estate. You know anything about that? My coffee went cold in my hand. Brandon. Amanda had mentioned a boyfriend a few months back, but I had never met him. She had been cagey about details. Me. Tell me everything he asked. Jake sent a long message detailing a conversation at a family barbecue I had not attended. Brandon asking pointed questions about Mom's house. How much equity she had. Whether she had reverse mortgage. If she ever talked about selling. Jake had thought it was weird, but figured Brandon was just making conversation. I thanked Jake and immediately opened a new browser window. Social media search. Amanda's profile. There he was in several photos from the last 6 months. Brandon Pierce. Tall, good-looking in a practiced way, always with his arm around my sister. I clicked through to Brandon's own profile. Real estate investor, according to his bio. Dozens of posts about flipping properties, investment opportunities, building wealth through real estate. Photos of houses with sold signs. smiling pictures with elderly clients. Something about those photos made my skin crawl. I dug deeper. Google search for Brandon Pierce and real estate. Several news articles popped up. Complaints filed with the Better Business Bureau. A forum post from 2 years ago, warning people about a Brandon Pierce who pressured an elderly woman into selling her house below market value. I took screenshots of everything. The pieces were assembling into a picture I did not want to see. Amanda meets Brandon 6 months ago. Suddenly, she starts visiting mom more often. Suddenly, she starts talking about how I'm controlling with money, how I probably have ulterior motives, how I'm not really helping, I'm manipulating. And now, right when mom would be most vulnerable after disowning me, Brandon is conveniently positioned as the helpful boyfriend, the real estate expert who can guide her through this difficult time. I called Patricia Walsh, an attorney a colleague had recommended months ago for an unrelated contract review. I explained the situation. "Bring me everything you have," she said. "Tomorrow at 9. That evening, as I was leaving work, my mother appeared in the parking lot. She must have been waiting. Her face was puffy from crying, her hair uncombed. She looked smaller than I remembered. "David, please. The electricity got shut off. I can't. I don't have the money to turn it back on." I stopped walking, but did not approach her. "You told me I'm not part of the family. Why are you here?" "Don't be ridiculous. You're my son." "Then what was that text message about?" "You were controlling me with money." Amanda explained it all. "You've been manipulating me, making me dependent on you, so you could." "So you could." "So I could what, Mom?" She faltered. "Take my house." "I never wanted your house. I wanted to help you. There's a difference. You don't understand what it's like. After your father died, you just swooped in and started paying for everything. You never asked, you just did it. Like I couldn't manage my own life." My jaw tightened. "You were 3 months behind on your mortgage. The bank sent you a foreclosure notice. You called me crying at 2 in the morning. I didn't swoop in. You asked for help." She blinked. "That's not how I remember it. I have the voicemail saved, Mom. I have all the emails from the bank you forwarded me. I have 5 years of documentation." Her face crumpled. "After everything I did for you, I raised you. I sacrificed everything. And I gave you over $200,000. I think we're even." I walked to my car. She called after me, but I did not turn around. At home, I found a text from Amanda. "You're going to regret this." I forwarded it to my lawyer. Thursday morning started with a knock on my office door. My boss, Gary, stood there with an uncomfortable expression and 2 uniformed police officers behind him. "David? These officers need to speak with you." Every head in the open office space turned. I felt my face flush as I stood. "Mr. David Thompson?" the older officer asked. "Yes. We need to ask you some questions about a complaint filed regarding financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult. Can you come with us?" My stomach dropped. "Am I under arrest?" "No, sir. We just need to talk. I'd like to contact my attorney first." The officers exchanged glances. "That's your right." I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and called Patricia Walsh. She answered on the second ring. I explained the situation in a low voice, aware of my coworkers watching. "Don't say anything," Patricia instructed. "Give them my number. I'll handle this." I handed my phone to the officer. He stepped away, spoke briefly with Patricia, then returned it to me. "Your attorney has advised you not to speak without her present. We'll be in touch to schedule a formal interview." They left, but the damage was done. Gary pulled me aside after they departed. "David, I need to know. Is everything okay? Should I be concerned?" "It's a family situation. A misunderstanding. My lawyer is handling it." "Okay, well, keep me informed if it becomes something that affects your work here." I nodded, feeling sick. Back at my desk, whispers followed me. I could not concentrate on anything. At lunch, I drove straight to Patricia's office. She had already pulled the complaint. Amanda had filed a police report, claiming I had stolen money from my mother over a period of 5 years, that I had been financially abusing a vulnerable elderly woman by controlling her finances and making her dependent on me. The report painted me as a predator who had isolated my mother from her family and manipulated her into giving me access to her accounts. This is insane, I said, sliding the paperwork back across her desk. Every payment I made was voluntary. I never had access to her accounts. I paid her bills from my own money. I know. Your documentation proves that. But we have another problem. Patricia pulled up another document on her computer and turned the screen toward me. Your sister also filed a report with Adult Protective Services. They're required to investigate any claim of elder abuse. My hands went cold. Elder abuse? My mother's only 63. She's not elderly. In the eyes of APS, anyone over 60 qualifies as a vulnerable adult, especially if they're on a fixed income. And there's something else. She clicked to another file. A scanned document. Power of attorney paperwork with my signature at the bottom. I never signed that, I said immediately. I know. It's a forgery. Not even a good one. Look at the notary stamp. That seal was discontinued 3 years ago, and the signature doesn't match the exemplars you provided. But Amanda produced this as evidence that you had legal authority over your mother's finances and misused it. I stared at the forged document, my mind reeling. She faked power of attorney paperwork? Yes, which is a crime in itself. But it complicates things, because now there's an official investigation. APS has to follow through. The next 3 days blurred together. I sat for an interview with an APS investigator named Margaret Chen, a tired-looking woman in her 50s, who listened patiently as I laid out my entire case. Every bank statement, every canceled check, every text message, the timeline of events. She took notes, her face unreadable. And you never forced your mother to accept these payments? No. She asked for help. I gave it, that's all. Your sister claims you manipulated her into dependency. My sister has never paid a single bill from my mother. Not once, not a dime. But somehow, I'm the manipulative one. Margaret's expression softened slightly. I'll need to interview your mother separately. Of course. But when Margaret interviewed my mother, the story changed. My mother, coached by Amanda, claimed I had insisted on paying the bills, that she had felt pressured to accept my help, that I had made her feel like she owed me. I learned all this from Patricia, who had contacts in the system. The investigation would continue for at least another month. Meanwhile, Amanda filed for a restraining order. The paperwork arrived via certified mail on Monday. Amanda, acting on behalf of my mother, sought a temporary restraining order claiming I had been harassing and threatening them both. The court date was set for the following Wednesday. Until then, I could not contact my mother or Amanda under any circumstances. I sat in my apartment that night, staring at the legal documents, and wondered how my life had spiraled so far out of control. One text message. That was all it took. Tuesday evening, Aunt Carol called. David, I don't know how to tell you this. Your mother's house is going into foreclosure. She missed 2 payments now. The bank sent a notice. Can she make the payments on her own? No, she can't afford them. Never could, really. That's why you were helping. Brandon told Amanda they should just let it go and move your mother in with him. Move in with Brandon? She barely knows him. I know. I tried to talk to her, but she won't listen to me anymore. Amanda has her convinced that we're all on your side against her. I thanked Aunt Carol and hung up. The trap was closing. I could see it now. Force me out. Let the house go into foreclosure. Swoop in as the savior. But to what end? What did Brandon really want? I spent the rest of the night researching. And that's when I found it. A news article from Arizona, 4 years old. A man named Marcus Whitfield, convicted of fraud, involving an elderly woman's property. He had befriended her adult daughter, convinced the mother to transfer the deed to the daughter, then persuaded the daughter to sell the house and split the proceeds with him. The mother ended up homeless. Marcus served 2 years in prison. I clicked on the attached photo from the court proceedings. It was Brandon Pierce. Wednesday morning arrived cold and gray, matching my mood. I put on my best suit, the charcoal one I wore for important presentations, and met Patricia outside the courthouse at 8:45. She carried a leather briefcase, bulging with documents. Remember, she said, as we climbed the stone steps, stay calm no matter what they say. Let me handle the talking unless the judge asks you a direct question. The courtroom was smaller than I expected, wood-paneled and fluorescent lit. Amanda and my mother sat at the opposite table with their attorney, a sharp-featured man in an expensive suit. Brandon sat in the gallery behind them, leaning back with his arms crossed. When he saw me, he smirked. The bailiff called us to order. Judge Catherine Morrison, a woman in her late 50s with steel-gray hair and sharp eyes, took the bench. "This is a hearing on a petition for a restraining order," she began, reviewing the paperwork. "Miss Amanda Thompson, acting on behalf of her mother Patricia Thompson, alleges harassment and threatening behavior by her brother, Mr. David Thompson. Counsel, proceed." Amanda's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, my clients have been subjected to a campaign of financial manipulation and intimidation by Mr. Thompson. He has controlled Mrs. Thompson's finances for years, making her completely dependent on him. When she finally found the courage to set boundaries, he retaliated by cutting off all financial support, leaving her destitute. He has sent threatening messages and appeared at her home uninvited." The lawyer presented printed text messages. I recognized them immediately. They were real messages, but edited. Parts removed to change the context. "Your Honor," Patricia stood. "May I present the complete, unedited message history?" Judge Morrison nodded. Patricia handed up a thick folder. The judge spent several minutes comparing the two versions, her expression growing increasingly skeptical. "These are significantly different, Counselor," she said to Amanda's lawyer. "Care to explain why your exhibits are missing context?" He stammered something about condensing for clarity. The judge was not amused. "Continue, Miss Walsh." Patricia presented everything. 5 years of canceled checks, bank statements showing money flowing from my account to pay my mother's bills, the original disownment text message, the recording of Amanda's threatening call, where she accidentally revealed their concern about the house. Judge Morrison listened intently, occasionally asking clarifying questions. Then she turned to me. "Mr. Thompson, why did you pay your mother's expenses for 5 years?" I stood. "Your Honor, my father passed away 8 years ago. My mother was struggling financially. She was facing foreclosure. She called me, upset and scared. I had the means to help, so I did. Because she's my mother." "Did you ever threaten her?" "No, Your Honor. Never." "Did you force her to accept your help?" "No. She asked for it." The judge turned to Amanda. "Miss Thompson, you sent your brother a text message stating he was no longer part of the family. Is that correct?" Amanda squirmed in her seat. "Yes, but he was controlling our mother with money. He was using it to manipulate her. By paying her bills?" "Miss Thompson, I've reviewed the evidence. Your brother appears to have given your mother over $200,000 over 5 years with no expectation of repayment. That's not manipulation. That's extraordinary generosity." She turned to my mother. "Mrs. Thompson, did your son ever threaten you in any way? Did he force you to do anything against your will?" My mother hesitated, glancing at Amanda. "Well, no, not exactly." "Not exactly or no?" "No," she said quietly. Judge Morrison closed the file folder. "I'm denying the petition for a restraining order. There's no evidence of harassment or threatening behavior. What I do see is evidence of potential filing of false reports. Miss Thompson, I strongly advise you to be very careful about making accusations without proper foundation. Court is adjourned." The gavel came down. I felt Patricia's hand on my shoulder as relief flooded through me. We had won, but as we gathered our materials to leave, I saw Amanda whisper something to Brandon. He smiled. Not a defeated smile, a confident one. Outside in the hallway, Patricia's phone rang. She answered, listened, and her face went pale. "When?" She listened more. "I see. Thank you." She turned to me. "David, we have a problem. Your mother's house was quit-claimed to Amanda 3 days ago. Your mother signed the deed over to her." "What? Why would she do that?" "According to the filing, it was to protect the property from your claims." My brief moment of victory evaporated. "But I don't have any claims on the property." "I know, but they don't care about the truth. They have the deed. The house is legally Amanda's now." We went back to Patricia's office and pulled the county records. There it was, a quitclaim deed, signed by my mother, notarized, transferring full ownership of the house to Amanda, signed on Sunday. The same day, Amanda had filed for the restraining order. Look at this notary seal, Patricia said, examining the document closely. Something's off. She made several phone calls. Within an hour, she had an answer. David, this notary's license was suspended 8 months ago for fraudulent notarizations. This deed shouldn't have been accepted by the county. So it's not valid? It shouldn't be. But it was recorded. We'll need to challenge it. That takes time. How much time? Weeks. Maybe months. My phone buzzed. A text from Aunt Carol. The APS investigation concluded. They found no evidence of abuse by you. You're cleared. Small comfort. The police investigation had also been dropped earlier that day after they reviewed all my documentation. But while I had been fighting false accusations, Amanda and Brandon had stolen my mother's house. That evening, Aunt Carol called again. David, I'm worried about your mother. She seems confused. She keeps asking why she had to leave her house. Amanda told her it was because of you, but she seems. I don't know. Not right. What do you mean? She's staying at Brandon's house now. Amanda moved her in yesterday, but when I tried to visit, Amanda wouldn't let me in, said your mother was resting and couldn't have visitors. A chill ran down my spine. They're isolating her. That's what I'm afraid of. I called Patricia immediately. She listened to my concerns. We might have grounds for undue influence, but it's extremely hard to prove. We'd need evidence that they coerced her into signing the deed. What about the forged notary? That helps. It means the deed is invalid. But proving Brandon and Amanda knew it was forged is another matter. They could claim ignorance. I hung up feeling helpless. They had outmaneuvered me at every turn. While I was defending myself against false accusations, they were positioning themselves to take everything. And now, my mother was living in Brandon's house, isolated from everyone who cared about her. I could not let this go. This was not about the house anymore. This was not even about the money. This was about my mother, increasingly isolated and confused, trapped in a situation she did not fully understand. Friday morning, I called Robert Hayes, a private investigator Patricia had worked with before. We met at a coffee shop near my office. Robert was in his 60s, gray-haired and solid, with the calm demeanor of someone who had seen every kind of human ugliness. He listened to my story without interrupting, taking occasional notes. How fast do you need this? He asked when I finished. They're planning to sell the house. I don't know how much time we have. Give me 72 hours. 3 days later, Robert called. You need to come to my office. Now. I left work early and drove across town. Robert's office was a small suite in a converted warehouse building. He had documents spread across his desk. Sit down, he said. This is worse than you thought. He slid the first folder toward me. Brandon Pierce is not his real name. He's Marcus Anthony Whitfield. Born in Ohio, 38 years old. I found 3 different identities he's used in the last decade. Robert showed me the documentation. Driver's licenses from different states with different names but the same face. In Arizona, he was convicted of fraud in 2019. He targeted a woman named Dorothy Garrett, aged 71. Got close to her daughter, convinced the daughter that Dorothy should transfer her house to the daughter for estate planning purposes. Then he persuaded the daughter to sell the house and split the money with him. Dorothy ended up in a homeless shelter. Marcus served 2 years. My hands clenched into fists. It gets worse, Robert continued. In Nevada, there's an active warrant for his arrest under the name Brandon Michaels. Same pattern, different family. He fled before trial. That was 2 years ago. How is he not in prison? Because he changes identities and moves to new states. He's smart. He targets families that are already fractured, where there's existing conflict. Makes it easier to drive wedges deeper. Robert pulled out another document. Now, the deed your mother signed. Look at this notary stamp. I examined it. The seal said Maria Rodriguez, Notary Public, with a commission number. This notary's license was suspended 8 months ago for fraudulent notarizations. She was part of a document fraud ring. She's currently awaiting trial. There's no way she notarized this deed legally. So the deed is completely invalid? Yes. But here's the thing. Amanda and Brandon listed the house for sale yesterday. They're asking $275,000, which is about $50,000 below market value. They want a fast sale. The listing says they're motivated sellers and will consider all offers. My chest tightened. They're trying to unload it before anyone figures out the fraud. Exactly. They've already got interest. Someone submitted an offer this morning. Can we stop the sale? We can try. Your lawyer needs to file an emergency injunction. But courts move slowly. If they accept an offer and close quickly, it becomes much harder to unwind. Robert slid me another folder. I contacted some of the people from Marcus's previous cases. 3 families willing to testify about the same pattern of behavior. I also found the prosecutor in Nevada. She's very interested to know where Marcus Whitfield is currently residing. What do? We report him to the local FBI field office. The Nevada warrant makes him a fugitive across state lines. That's federal jurisdiction. And we file a complaint with the county recorder about the fraudulent deed. Meanwhile, your lawyer files to void the deed transfer. Will it be enough? Robert's expression was grim. I don't know, but it's all we've got. That evening, I reached out to the rest of my family. Aunt Carol, Uncle Raymond, who lived 2 hours away, my cousin Jake. I showed them everything Robert had uncovered. The reaction was immediate and unanimous. Horror, fury, determination to help. Aunt Carol tried to visit my mother again the next day. Amanda answered the door at Brandon's house and physically blocked the entrance. She's resting. She doesn't want visitors. I'm her sister. I want to see her. She said she doesn't want to see you. You're on David's side. There are no sides. This is family. Not anymore. Amanda closed the door. Uncle Raymond tried calling my mother's cell phone. Disconnected. No longer in service. They had completely isolated her. Monday morning, Patricia filed an emergency complaint with the county recorder's office about the fraudulent notarization. She also filed a motion to void the deed transfer, citing fraud and undue influence. I took all of Robert's evidence to the local FBI field office. The agent who met with me, a woman named Sarah Chen, listened carefully as I explained the situation. You're saying this man is wanted in Nevada under a different name? Yes. Marcus Whitfield. There's an active warrant. She took notes, examined the documents. And he's currently residing where? I gave her Brandon's address. We'll look into this. If the warrant is valid and we can confirm this person is the same individual, we'll proceed accordingly. It was not the immediate action I hoped for, but it was something. That night, I received a disturbing call from Mrs. Patterson, an elderly woman who lived next door to Brandon. Are you Patricia Thompson's son? I got your number from Carol. Yes, ma'am. I've seen your mother in the upstairs window several times. She looks confused and upset. Today I saw her trying to open the window, but it wouldn't budge. I think it's been nailed shut from the outside. My blood ran cold. Are you certain? I've lived here 42 years. I know a nailed window when I see one. I immediately called Patricia. They're keeping her prisoner. That's a strong accusation. We need proof. A neighbor saw her trying to open a nailed shut window. That could be for security. We need more. How much more? They've isolated her, disconnected her phone, won't let family visit. What else do we need? Patricia's voice softened. I know this is frustrating, but we have to do this right. I'm filing a new report with Adult Protective Services tomorrow, including all the new evidence about Brandon's identity and criminal history. APS can do a welfare check. How long will that take? I'll mark it urgent. A few days, maybe. We don't have a few days. They could close on that house any time. I'm doing everything I can, David. I promise. But promises were not enough. My mother was trapped in that house, and the system moved too slowly to save her. I sat in my apartment that night, staring at the ceiling, and made a decision. A reckless one. Probably a stupid one, but I was out of options. Thursday afternoon. 3 days since I filed the FBI report. 2 days since Patricia's emergency motions. The house sale was scheduled to close the following Tuesday. We were running out of time. I drove to Brandon's house at 4:30 p.m., phone in my shirt pocket set to record. I was not wearing a wire. I was not law enforcement. But I could record my own conversations in our state. One-party consent. The house was a modest ranch style in an older suburb. Brandon's black pickup truck sat in the driveway. Amanda's car was there too. I walked up to the front door and knocked. Amanda answered. Her eyes widened. What are you doing here? You're not supposed to contact us. The restraining order was denied. I can be here. I need to see Mom. She doesn't want to see you. Let her tell me that herself. Brandon appeared behind Amanda. He was bigger than he looked in photos, over 6 feet, broad-shouldered. He stepped outside and closed the door behind him. You need to leave. Now. I need to see my mother. This has gone too far. Your mother is fine. She's living here because you made it impossible for her to stay in her own home. I know who you are, Brandon. Or should I say, Marcus Whitfield. That's your real name, isn't it? His expression changed. Something dangerous flickered behind his eyes. You don't know what you're talking about. Arizona fraud conviction. 2019. Dorothy Garrett. You got her daughter to sign over the house, then convinced the daughter to sell it and split the money. Dorothy ended up homeless. You served 2 years. Brandon stepped closer, invading my space. You're crazy. Nevada warrant. 2021. Same pattern. Different family. You fled before trial. Get off my property. The deed is fraudulent. The notary wasn't licensed. You're not getting that house. Brandon shoved me. Hard. I stumbled backward down the porch steps, catching myself on the railing. Don't touch me, I said, my phone recording everything in my pocket. He advanced down the steps. I said, get out of here. I just want to see my mother. That's all. Let me talk to her. Brandon shoved me again, harder this time. I went down on the lawn, the impact jarring my spine. Get out of here before you get hurt, Brandon snarled. I stood slowly, tasting blood where I had bit my tongue. Why are you doing this? What did she ever do to you? Brandon threw a punch. His fist connected with my face, and I went down again. Pain exploded across my cheek and nose. I felt blood running hot down my face. Brandon pulled out his phone and dialed. 911? Yes, there's a man on my property attacking me. He won't leave. I need police here now. He gave the address, then crouched down near me. You're done, he whispered. I lay there on his lawn, blood pooling under my face, and waited for the sirens. They arrived within minutes. 2 squad cars. 4 officers. Brandon was waiting on his porch, composed. Officers, thank God. This man came to my house and attacked me. I was defending myself. My girlfriend and her mother are inside, terrified. I tried to speak, but one officer was already helping me up, while another took Brandon's statement. He's lying. I managed through my swelling face. I have recording. Phone, pocket. The officer patted me down, found my phone. You were recording this? Yes. One-party consent. Check it. He attacked me. But the officers seemed more interested in Brandon's version. He claimed I had shoved him first, that he pushed me away in self-defense, that I fell and hit my face on the ground. Amanda came out, backing his story completely. He's been harassing us, she said tearfully. He threatened to hurt our mother if we didn't give him money. We had to get a restraining order. The judge only denied it because he's good at manipulating people. One officer was reviewing my phone recording. I could not see his expression. The other officer put me in handcuffs. Sir, you're under arrest for trespassing and assault. What? No. Check the recording. He attacked me. We'll review all evidence at the station. Right now, we have visible injuries to you, and his testimony that you assaulted him on his property. They put me in the back of the squad car. Through the window, I saw Brandon smirking. Amanda had her arm around him. They had won. At the station, I was processed. Mugshot. Fingerprints. They took my phone as evidence. I was allowed 1 call. I called Patricia. They arrested me, I said. Brandon's house. He attacked me, but they arrested me. Patricia's voice was tight with alarm. Don't say anything else. Not one word. I'm coming down there. But it was after hours. The bail hearing would not be until morning. I spent the night in county jail, my face throbbing, my nose likely broken, replaying the disaster over and over. I had failed. I had lost. Brandon was going to sell the house, take the money, and disappear. My mother would be left with nothing, and I would have a criminal record. I did not sleep. At 6 a.m., a guard came to my cell. Thompson, you're being released. What? All charges dropped. You're free to go. Confused and exhausted, I was processed out. Patricia was waiting in the lobby with Aunt Carol. What happened? I asked. Patricia smiled. It was the first genuine smile I had seen from her in weeks. The FBI happened. While you were here, they raided Brandon's house at 2 a.m., arrested him on the Nevada warrant. Also arrested Amanda as an accomplice to fraud. They found your mother locked in an upstairs bedroom, David. Locked in from the outside. My legs went weak. Aunt Carol caught my arm. She's at the hospital now. They're running tests. She seems confused and frightened, but physically okay. The recording from your phone, Patricia continued, showed clearly that Brandon assaulted you unprovoked. The officers reviewed it this morning. That's why they dropped charges. They're actually considering charges against Brandon for the assault and for filing a false police report. Is he? Is he in custody? Federal custody. The Nevada warrant takes precedence. They'll extradite him for trial, and then he'll face charges here for the deed fraud and identity theft. He's not getting out anytime soon. I touched my face gingerly. My nose was definitely broken, my cheek purple and swollen. I need to see my mother. I'll drive you, Aunt Carol said. At the hospital, I found my mother in a third-floor room. She was sitting up in bed, but her eyes were unfocused. An IV ran into her arm. She looked frail and lost. Mom? She turned slowly toward my voice. David? Is that really you? I moved to her bedside. It's me. I'm here. She stared at my battered face. What happened to you? Long story. Are you okay? Tears filled her eyes. I don't understand what's happening. Where's Amanda? She said you were trying to hurt me. She said I had to stay in the room for my own safety. But the door was locked. I couldn't get out. The doctor appeared, a young woman with kind eyes. Mr. Thompson? I'm Dr. Emily Sanders. Your mother has been given inappropriate medications, benzodiazepines, which she has no prescription for. They've been causing confusion, memory problems, and sedation. It'll take a few days for her system to clear, but she should make a full recovery. Someone was drugging her? That's what it appears. The police are investigating. I sat down heavily in the chair next to the bed. My mother reached out and took my hand. I'm sorry, she whispered. I don't remember everything, but I remember the text message. I remember what I said to you. David, I'm so sorry. I squeezed her hand but could not speak. The emotion was too raw, too overwhelming. Amanda said terrible things about you, Mom continued, her words slow and slurred. She said you were going to take my house, put me in a home. She had papers. She showed me papers that looked official. The papers were fake, Mom. All of it was lies. She started crying. I believed her. My own daughter. I believed her over you. After everything you did for me. It's okay. It's not okay. I threw you away. I disowned my son. My good son, who only ever tried to help me. Dr. Sanders cleared her throat gently. She needs rest. The medications are still affecting her cognition. Give her a few days. I nodded and stood to leave, but my mother gripped my hand tighter. Don't go. Please, don't leave me. I'm not going anywhere, Mom. I promise. Rest. I'll be right here. She closed her eyes, and within minutes, she was asleep. Aunt Carol stood in the doorway. You should go home, David. Clean up. Get some rest yourself. I'll stay with her. Are you sure? I'm sure. Go. You've been through hell. Take care of yourself. I left the hospital as the sun was rising, exhausted to my bones, my face aching, but feeling something I had not felt in weeks. Hope. 2 weeks passed in a blur of legal proceedings, medical appointments, and slow healing. Brandon, whose real name was indeed Marcus Anthony Whitfield, was extradited to Nevada to face the outstanding warrant. After that, he would be returned to face charges in our state. Identity fraud, elder abuse, document forgery, assault. His public defender indicated he would likely plead guilty to avoid trial. He was looking at 12 years minimum. Amanda was charged as an accomplice to fraud and conspiracy to commit elder abuse. The evidence was overwhelming. Text messages between her and Brandon detailing their plan. The forged power of attorney documents. Her role in isolating our mother and administering the unprescribed medications. She eventually accepted a plea deal. 3 years in prison, 5 years probation, and full restitution of any money obtained through the scheme. The fraudulent quitclaim deed was voided by the court. The house was restored to my mother's name, but she did not want it anymore. Too many bad memories. Too much had happened there. She sold it herself through a legitimate realtor for its fair market value, $325,000. After paying off the mortgage and covering closing costs, she walked away with about $180,000. She moved into a small 2-bedroom apartment in a senior living community near Aunt Carol. Manageable rent. Nice neighbors. A fresh start. One Saturday afternoon, about 6 weeks after Brandon's arrest, my mother invited me to her new place for lunch. It was the first time we had been alone together since everything happened. Her apartment was bright and cheerful, decorated with photos of family. I noticed she had put up several pictures of me and Dad from when I was a kid. We ate sandwiches at her small kitchen table, making awkward small talk. Finally, she set down her sandwich and looked at me directly. "David, I need to say something. I've been in therapy since I got out of the hospital, learning to process everything that happened. And I realize I owe you more than an apology. I owe you the truth about why I let Amanda manipulate me so easily. I waited. After your father died, I was lost. Completely lost. We'd been together since I was 19. He handled everything, the finances, the house maintenance, all of it. Suddenly I was alone and drowning. When you stepped in to help, part of me was grateful, but part of me resented it. Resented me helping? Resented needing help. Resented feeling like I couldn't manage my own life. Resented that my son had to take care of me when it should have been the other way around. Those feelings made me vulnerable when Amanda started planting doubts. She told me what I wanted to hear, that I was capable, that you were the problem, that I didn't need your help. She wiped her eyes. I wanted so badly to believe I was still independent and strong, so I chose to believe her lies instead of your truth. That's on me. Not on the drugs, not on Brandon's manipulation, on me. Mom, let me finish. You gave me over $200,000. 5 years of your life, your money, your time. You asked for nothing in return, and I repaid you by disowning you in a text message. There's no excuse for that. None. She slid an envelope across the table. This is $50,000. It's not nearly enough to repay what you gave me, but it's what I can afford right now. Please take it. I looked at the envelope but did not touch it. I don't want your money, Mom. I need you to take it. I need to pay you back. I need to feel like I'm not just a burden who took and gave nothing. I understood then. This was not about the money. It was about her dignity, her need to contribute, to not feel helpless. Okay, I said quietly. Thank you. She nodded, fresh tears falling. There's something else. I need to ask your forgiveness, not just for the text message, for believing Amanda's lies, for letting Brandon into my life, for not trusting you when you'd never given me a reason not to. Can you forgive me? I thought about everything that had happened. The betrayal, the false accusations, the night in jail, the broken nose that still ached when the weather changed. But I also thought about my mother, drugged and locked in a room, confused and frightened, a victim of her own daughter's greed and a predator's scheme. Yes, I said. I forgive you. We both cried then, holding hands across the table. It was not a perfect reconciliation. The wounds were too deep for that, but it was a beginning. Over the following months, we rebuilt our relationship slowly. I visited her once a week, usually on Sundays. We'd have lunch or dinner, talk about safe topics at first, the weather, her neighbors, my work. Gradually, we grew comfortable again. But it was different now. She did not call me every time something went wrong. She figured things out herself, or asked Aunt Carol for help. She managed her own finances, paid her own bills. She was rebuilding the independence she had lost after Dad died. And I had learned to set boundaries. I would help when asked, but I would not sacrifice myself the way I had before. I would not give endlessly without regard for my own well-being. The legal aftermath continued for months. Amanda wrote me a letter from prison, apologizing. I read it once and never responded. Some betrayals go too deep. Patricia Walsh helped me file a defamation lawsuit against Amanda. We eventually settled. Amanda had to publish a public apology, acknowledging that all her accusations against me were false and that I had never abused, manipulated, or stolen from our mother. It was printed in the local newspaper. Small comfort, but something. My job had been understanding throughout everything. Gary, my boss, pulled me aside one day and said, "Family situations can destroy a person. The fact that you held it together and kept delivering for your team through all that, that's real strength." I was promoted 3 months later. 1 year after that terrible text message, I sat in my apartment on a quiet Sunday evening, reflecting on everything I had learned. I learned that generosity without boundaries is not kindness. It's self-destruction. I learned that family is not defined by blood, but by respect, loyalty, and mutual care. Real family does not discard you via text message. I learned that standing up for yourself is not selfish. It's necessary, essential. It's how you survive. I learned that sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is let them face the consequences of their choices, even when it hurts, even when they cry and beg and accuse you of being cruel. I learned that documentation is power, evidence is power. Truth, backed by proof, will prevail even when the lies seem overwhelming. I learned that the system is slow and imperfect, but it can work if you're persistent and patient. Most importantly, I learned that you can love someone and still protect yourself from them. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. My relationship with my mother would never be what it was before. Too much had been broken, but we were building something new, something more honest, something based on respect rather than obligation. She was learning to stand on her own. I was learning that I did not have to catch her every time she stumbled. That was healthier for both of us. As I closed my laptop that evening, my phone buzzed. A text from Mom. "Thank you for not giving up on me. I'm sorry I gave up on you. See you Sunday." I replied, "I'm glad you're safe. See you Sunday." Simple words, but they meant everything. Because the greatest lesson I learned was this: true family does not demand that you set yourself on fire to keep them warm. True love does not require you to destroy yourself to prove your devotion. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is say no, set boundaries, and walk away from people who refuse to see your worth. I had given my family over $200,000 in 5 years of my life. They had given me a text message ending our relationship. In return, I gave them the truth. Sometimes the truth feels cruel. Sometimes it feels like abandonment. But truth delivered with integrity is the greatest gift you can give, even when no one wants to receive it. My mother almost lost everything because she chose comfortable lies over uncomfortable truth. She almost ended up homeless, broke, alone, because she wanted to believe she did not need help. Pride is expensive. Lies are costly. And family that cannot be honest with each other is not really family at all. I think about my father sometimes, wondering what he would think of everything that happened. I believe he would have wanted me to help Mom. But I also believe he would have wanted me to stand up for myself when that help was thrown back in my face. You can honor your parents and still refuse to be abused by them. You can love your family and still demand to be treated with respect. You can be generous and still say, "Enough is enough." These are not contradictions, they are survival skills. 1 year later, I was okay. My mother was okay. We were finding our way back to each other, slowly, carefully, with eyes wide open and boundaries clearly drawn. And that was enough. So I want to ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where your generosity was taken for granted or thrown back in your face? Have you ever had to set difficult boundaries with family members who expected endless giving without appreciation? How did you handle it? Did you walk away or find a way to rebuild? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps more people find these stories and know they're not alone in their struggles. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I share stories like this regularly, stories about real-life challenges, family dynamics, and finding strength in difficult situations. Share this story with someone who might need to hear it, someone who's giving too much and getting too little in return, someone who needs permission to set boundaries, someone who needs to know that standing up for yourself does not make you a bad person. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. I hope you found something valuable in it, something that helps you in your own life. Remember, you deserve to be treated with respect, even by family, especially by family. Don't be afraid to demand it. Take care of yourselves out there. Set those boundaries. Stand up for your worth, and never let anyone convince you that protecting yourself is the same as being selfish. Until next time.